Hello and welcome to another episode of He Says, She Says Film Reviews. I'm Dave G and joining me is my co-host
Lee G.
And tonight we're taking a look at another movie that is written and directed by one of my favourite screenwriter-directors going around at the moment, Those Who Wish Me Dead, of course, which is the latest film by Taylor Sheridan. Of course, Taylor Sheridan over the past few years has made a name for himself as the screenwriter of Sicario, the screenwriter of Hell or High Water. Then he directed and wrote the brilliant Wind River. And now, of course, Yellowstone, which is on streaming services. He's the writer and director of that. He is the person that everybody in Hollywood wants to work with at the moment. And now he's directed this brilliant film called Those Who Wish Me Dead. He kind of wrote it as well, but I don't want to say that he was the main screenwriter because he was brought in by a studio to rewrite a script and then ended up directing it when he told them that Angelina Jolie wanted to make the film with him. Basically, Angelina Jolie plays a firefighter called Hannah. Fire jumpers are, of course, the firefighters who fight wildfires in America, who jump out of a plane or a helicopter into the middle of the fire to try and put it out. Now, she is kind of being punished at the start of this film because she was involved in an incident where one firefighter died and two boys were killed in a fire. And she's kind of wrongfully being punished because they did a psych evaluation on her the very next day after the tragedy and then used it as a reason to put her out in a fire tower rather than keeping her as a firefighter. Now, she crosses paths with a young boy called Connor Finn Little, who is on the run from two hitmen, Patrick, played by Nicholas Hoult, and Jack, played by Aidan Gillen, who have just killed his father, and Connor, as a character, is looking for his uncle Ethan, played by John Bernthal, who is a local sheriff in this area of, once again, a wilderness film in America. Of course, does Taylor Sheridan make anything else that's not set in America's Wild West? So what did you think of Those Who Wish Me Dead? Because I know that there's a few people in this film that you're a big fan of, so what did you think of this film?
Yeah, I did. I really liked this film. I think there's a lot in it. There's suspense and drama. There's fight for survival. There's a race against time. There's bushfire. There's assassins. There's all sorts of things going on. Grief and loss. PTSD type things as well. So I think there's two kind of storylines. You've kind of mentioned them already, but you've got the fire scene and that storyline, and then you've got a family being hunted by assassins, and then those two stories merge into the one story once they collide. So I guess one of the things that stood out, though, that not as confused by but would like to have seen more of, was the reason why the family is being hunted down. I mean, there's a protecting evidence storyline as well within the story, and keeping evidence safe until it can be exposed. But we don't really learn why the information was at such a level that someone would need to be assassinated. Now, you kind of get the feeling that it's at government level, that it's at high political level or something. But I guess it's just a little bit frustrating as someone watching the movie to understand why a boy's father would be killed, and why he'd be chased. And I think you just want to see that. Like, you want to see a bit more depth in that storyline. Not to say that I didn't enjoy the movie. I actually really liked it. It's a sort of movie I would definitely watch again. And there's sacrifice in the movie. And there's also some good music. So I ended up looking up some of the music by Brian Tyler, because it's so suspenseful and dramatic. It's theatrical and instrumental throughout the whole movie, and it really builds the movie up. So there was that aspect, plus all the actors that I really like. So Angelina Jolie, of course, playing Hannah, Nicholas Hoult playing Patrick, Finn Little as Connor. Now, I thought he did a brilliant job as a kid.
An
or
Aussie boy.
Teenager.
Yeah, Aussie boy from Storm Boy.
He did really well. I haven't seen Storm Boy, to be honest, just because I don't like animal movies where there's, a chance that the animal might be hurt or separated from
Mr.
their
Percival.
owner. But he did a brilliant job. John Bernthal, we all like him. He played Ethan. Aidan Gillen plays Jack. He's from Game of Thrones, and I think he's a brilliant actor. Jake Weber, who plays Owen. So there's a lot of people in this movie that make it quite special, because I feel like that their acting all brings something special to the story.
Yeah, the whole story about Patrick and Jack coming after this family, it's also kind of made even more mysterious by the fact that this character kind of turns up halfway through the film called Arthur, played by Tyler Perry, quite a big name actor in America, who turns up for this one scene where he's kind of telling off these two hitmen for not doing a better job. And it's kind of like, was there more to that story? Because I don't understand why Tyler Perry, who is a leading man in a lot of his movies, would agree to come and do just one scene, unless it's the Taylor Sheridan factor, where if you listen to what people say in Hollywood, apparently people are lining up to be in Taylor Sheridan's shows and in his movies, so there could be that possibility. But it is interesting, because the only time they ever reference what it's about is Connor's dad says that he discovered something in an account, like he's a forensic accountant, and he reported it to the district attorney, and the district attorney dies in the first few minutes of this film, killed by the two hitmen. So you've got to guess that it's kind of something quite high up for why this is happening. I love that double-edged story that comes across in this film as well, where it's the two hitmen that start the wildfire because they want the local authorities off their trail for a bit. So I kind of liked that being in there, so that it kind of throws up the double story. I was really impressed to see Angelina Jolie back in this style of film. She has not made an action thriller suspense film for well over a decade. She's been doing a lot of voice work, the Maleficent films, of course, for Disney, and she actually hasn't done a movie like this for, I think I looked it up, and it was like 12, 13 years. And again, like I said, she's another one that really wanted to work with Taylor Sheridan, and he got her into the film, and that was the reason why he directed it. I was just reading that before, that the studio originally brought him in to rewrite the script, and he wasn't supposed to be the director. Also pretty interesting was that when they first started working in this film, Aidan Gillen's character was supposed to be played by Nicolas Cage, and there was a late replacement there, so pretty interesting. I did like this film, but I thought the fact that it wasn't entirely written by Taylor Sheridan showed. Taylor Sheridan writes these really kind of gritty, smart scripts. Hell or High Water is one of my favourite films for the last decade, and I thought Wind River was really well written as well. He's the kind of screenwriter that I aspire to be, and to me, there was a couple of little things in this screenplay that let it down that normally wouldn't be in a Taylor Sheridan screenplay. So I think it shows that he's not the main writer of it. But look, I was willing to overlook them, and I still enjoyed this film.
I also thought the visuals of the fire scenes were quite good. It seemed realistic to me. I'm not sure what it felt like for you, but you could feel the intensity of the fire and it coming close, and the need to, to get out of there and, survive, really, find a way to survive. I was quite impressed with the visuals. What did you think?
Yeah, it reminded me of Only the Brave, the film that came out a couple of years ago, where it was also about fire jumpers and the tragic case in America where they had the biggest loss of life outside of September 11 of firefighters. And I think the reason why is because Taylor Sheridan as a director did the same as what they did with Only the Brave, where they basically go, where can we light a fire, rather than how do we make fire look real. Some of the shots in this are CGI, but they're so well done that you can't tell that they're CGI. But a majority of this film, and I don't want to ruin too much, but there's a brilliant standoff scene in this that's set in the middle of the fire, and that looks real because it is real. They lit fires around the actors while they were performing those scenes. So, that to me is what makes these films look so good, because not only do you have the realism of the flames actually being there, but actors react to them. Like the sweat on their brow is actually because they're really close to fire. And I don't think no matter how good your makeup department is, you can't replicate that without actually doing that. So to me, it looks absolutely spectacular when they do that. What did you think of John Bernthal playing a good character for a change? Because he does kind of get typecast ever since The Walking Dead as bad characters, and even in some of the movies he's made recently, like Sweet Virginia, he is a good character with a bad side. So what did you think of him in playing a role like this, where he's kind of like a hero?
No, I liked seeing him as a good character. I think even in the the shows where he does play a bad character, there's good in him too. Like you want to like him. And there's behaviours that you don't like, but you want to like him. Whereas in this movie, you get to like him. I think he's a brilliant actor, and I think he did really well in this film. And I think it did great. Yeah,
it was good to see a few people play characters different than they would normally play. Like even Nicholas Hoult, ever since he's been like a young actor on our radar, of course, most of us would know him as playing Hank and Beast in X-Men. He's always kind of played the good character, the nice character. So to kind of see him as a really vicious hitman in this film is quite interesting, especially early on when Aidan Gillen's character basically delivers a line where he says Patrick is a lot more dangerous than him. Like Patrick, someone says to Aidan Gillen's character at one point, "Can he kill a kid?" And Aidan Gillen's character says he has before. So you instantly know that Patrick is dangerous. And it's not a role that you would expect from Nicholas Hoult, but I think he plays it really, really well. So what's your final thoughts on Those Who Wish Me Dead? What kind of person's going to go along and enjoy this film?
Well, it's definitely my kind of movie. The little bits that I would like to have seen more in the storyline, or the things that you've pointed out already that could have been improved a little. It doesn't matter to me so much. I'll hold back a few points because I really wanted to understand a bit more about the assassinations and why. But it is a movie that I will definitely watch again, and it's a sort of movie that I would watch with my girlfriends, and it's got enough action in there too, so I think that guys will like it too.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys that have gone along and seen this film already and absolutely loved it. And one of the things that I found really interesting is one of the reasons they've loved it is not only because of the of that kind of grittiness that you get with a Taylor Sheridan one, but they've loved the performances of the two females in this film. They've loved that Angelina Jolie is back as like the kind of action star. But a lot of men that I know have been along and seen this have absolutely loved the character of Allison, played by Medina Senghorn, because she shows in this movie that she doesn't need a man there to protect her, even though she's pregnant in the film. And there's some absolutely brilliant scenes in this, and I admit the same. I liked her character because of the way she stands up to some of the characters that think that she's just going to roll over and give them what they want, kind of thing. So and Finn Little, I think I can't praise him enough. He's an Aussie actor who's on the rise. Like, he's obviously getting noticed overseas now. I don't think you've seen it, but he did an amazing movie, I think it would have been about 2 years ago now, with Noomi Rapace, called Angel of Mine, and I think that's the film that's kind of got him noticed overseas now, and he is going to be the next big thing out of Australia overseas. I read an article the other day where Angelina Jolie has been telling producers in Hollywood about what a delight he was to work with and how talented he is. So Finn Little's well and truly on his way to becoming a Hollywood star, I think. So yeah, well done to him. And I guess to wrap up, what are you going to give Those Who Wish Me Dead out of 5?
I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 for all the reasons I've already said. And yeah, those few points really are just there because I wanted to see just a bit more depth about this assassination storyline. But in terms of, the music as the scenes are, building, and the acting and the visuals of the fire, all that rolled in together, I thought it was a brilliant film.
Yeah, I'm giving it 4 out of 5 as well, which surprisingly enough is the lowest score I've ever given a Taylor Sheridan film. Just because I loved Wind River and Hell or High Water and Sicario so much. But yeah, definitely 4 out of 5. But if you are a Taylor Sheridan fan out there, you will notice that this isn't entirely his screenplay, because a lot of his little tropes that he puts in there are missing from this film, but still well worth going and having a look at, because it's a brilliant modern day suspense thriller. So that's it for this episode of He Says, She Says Film Reviews. I've been Dave G.
And I'm Lee G.
And we'll be back soon with another episode.